We have reached the point in the Twitter controversy over whether or not people can see your tweets where Elon Musk himself, the guy who bought Twitter and the CEO, has locked his own account because there's this viral trend where everyone's like, if you lock your account, more people can see you. And I'm sorry. It is just probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I really just, I don't get it. People care way too much about this platform. So basically, for those that didn't see, we talked about it yesterday. I tweeted out, it feels like Twitter is dying. And a bunch of people are like, no, Tim, don't say that. You know, Elon Musk is going to turn around. All these leftists in media are going to write that Elon destroyed the platform, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, I don't know, maybe kind of. I don't care. I got no allegiance to anybody. Okay, let me tell you. I go on the Twitter platform and I tweet some stupid nonsense. And I used to get 300 replies, 300 retweets, often more. But if I tweeted out a story that was more serious, I'd get a decent amount of retweets. I would. It's probably why I've got like 1.5 million Twitter followers. Thank you all, who care to see what I have to say. I'm not, I'm just saying people follow me. And now engagement's way down. Like, it just feels kind of pointless sometimes I understand why people feel this way, why they're trying to lock their accounts, because they're like, what's the point of engaging on the platform if you're getting like 10 replies? It's like screaming into the wind. But for me, I never really cared. I cared a long time ago. I stopped caring a long time ago. When I sit down and talk with Jack Dorsey and Vijay and Rogan and all that, and then I just clearly see this is a manipulated garbage platform, I really just said, who cares, right? When we get to the point where Elon Musk himself is like, maybe this thing is true. It's like, bro, you have the code. Well, he told Dave Rubin it was a fractal Rube Goldberg machine. So all of a sudden, we're seeing this wave of, people are feeling like the platform is dying. I'm not the first person to say this. In fact, I'm probably the last person to have said it. Several weeks ago, people were tweeting that it feels like Twitter is dying, and not in the sense that it's not working. It seems to be working great in terms of the speed and efficiency. It just feels like no one cares anymore. And you know what? Maybe that's it. But there's another issue at play. Twitter rolled out this ridiculously stupid algorithmic change where they created a For You tab. Maybe Elon really did blow this thing up. All right, before I talk about why this may be happening, let me just stress the significance of this. People may be saying, I know there's probably a lot of people like, who cares about Twitter? I'm not on Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I watch YouTube. I watch Tim on YouTube. Sure. But take a look at this. From Fox News, Twitter users baffled by Biden claiming Supreme Court will end COVID emergency. Sounds like science to me. If this is the end of Twitter, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a very good mood. Since the dawn of Twitter, or I should say the expansion of Twitter, news media, quote unquote, journalists, have been scouring for comments to write stories about. It is not news, Fox, that Twitter users are baffled. I can go on Twitter and find users who are baffled by gravity. I can find users who are baffled by the fact that the earth is in fact round. And then what? Am I going to write an article about it? Twitter users express distrust over IPCC on grounds that earth is flat, they claim. You're going to find people saying literally anything you want. Who cares what Twitter users have to say? This is the stupidest thing ever. And it's one of the reasons I really hated Twitter for a really, really long time. Because you get random 14-year-old on the platform using a cat emoji saying something like, I just think Joe Biden's the best. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, I'm going to argue with you on this one. It's like, dude, look, on Twitter, you don't know you're arguing with a 14-year-old or maybe a 12-year-old or a 9-year-old. And they're just saying, you're stupid. I can't believe you would say something so stupid. And then you're getting all mad like these liberals or these right-wing nut jobs. And in reality, it's a bunch of little kids. Probably a bunch of little kids. I mean, maybe not like little kids, but like 14, 15-year-olds. They're probably telling you, it's so hilarious. You go on there and you can yell at a politician and then they'll retweet you. That's how stupid this platform is. So an algorithmic change happened. And I think it's going to have a profound impact on the political landscape, probably for the better. I think Twitter has hyperpolarized us. I think not just Twitter. I think it's YouTube, Facebook, etc. But Twitter imploding is one of the big three coming crashing down. So here's what I think happens. Why is your engagement down? Because Elon Musk rolled out this For You tab. And I think it was a really dumb idea. I have always hated Twitter's attempt at an algorithmic feed. And the most annoying thing, it used to be this. You'd open your Twitter account, you'd see a feed of posts. And I follow politicians and journalists and commentators and activists. And I want to see in real time what they're talking about. News story breaks. Boom! 5 minutes ago. Unarmed guy shot by cops. Big news. Hey, that's great because then you're getting the news right as it comes in. Or someone posts the video of it happening right when it happens. They rolled out this stupid little star and then defaulted everyone to the home feed. And then one day I go on Twitter and it's like 17 hours ago, someone tweeted, sure did love watching that TV show. And I'm like, what is this? Who is this? And then I'm like, what's going on? You got to click the little star and say latest tweets. So Elon rolls out this For You tab, which is an algorithmic feed where all of a sudden people are getting shown content from people they don't follow and don't like. So why is engagement going into the gutter? This is funny. Okay. It's going in the gutter because people are no longer seeing your tweets because of the algorithm. That's it. That's probably the answer. Okay. Now, I don't know for whatever reason why going private makes it more visible. Perhaps it's because in the algorithm, going private meant that like if you were following a private account, it was probably someone closer to you or something more important to you because they approved of your follow. And thus they're weighted more heavily in the stupid algorithm. But what's happening now is I think the rumor I heard is that Elon Musk doesn't like the hyperpolarization of Twitter, that this is a social platform that rewards tribal partisanship. And this is exemplified by the drop in engagement. So please understand, I'm sitting here laughing. I'm so tired of all the stupidity across the board. We need to just be like, come on, guys. You know, here's what I'm saying. You go on Twitter and you post Joe Biden sucks. And what happens? Everybody on the right, they're going to comment. They're going to say yes. I mean, you even have, I think Dan Bongino does this every day, says Joe Biden is the worst president in history. Cue liberal outrage. And it's like, what's the point of that tweet? Like, I know, I think Dan Bongino is great. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm saying like quite literally, like, what is the purpose of the tweet? Like, real question. Is it to trigger liberals, make them angry, get them to comment and dislike you? Is it to scream into an echo chamber that everyone who agrees with you can hear and they can high five you? I don't know, man. That's why I started tweeting nonsense. I tweeted like a picture of a hairless rabbit once, and people follow me. You know, that's great. You know, you follow me, you get weird stuff. Sometimes, okay, fine, salient points, and I'll address things in media, and those often get tons of tweets, retweets. But what happens is the left goes on and says left-wing thing, everybody retweets it. The right goes on and says right-wing thing, everybody retweets it. And thus the hyperpolarization continues to get worse because now people are being algorithmically fed exactly what they agree with. It seems like, and this is the rumor I heard, Elon Musk said, smash it all together and stop the hyperpolarization. And what's happened is all of a sudden people on the right are seeing stuff on the left, people on the left are seeing stuff on the right, or more importantly, people on both sides are seeing inane content from random people that doesn't matter to them. So if you're on Twitter and you're a Trump supporter and your whole world is like Donald Trump 2024, and then you see a tweet where it's like Tom Brady's retiring, you might be like, well, that's interesting. Next, and swipe past it. Because that's what's happening to me. I go on Twitter and the only thing it's feeding me is Tom Brady. Don't know or care about Tom Brady, guys. I just don't, whatever, man. You want to tell me that like Tony Hawk's going to retire because he busted his femur and I hope he does better. And I'm laughing, you know, I chuckled because it's like such a stereotypical skateboard thing, like Tony Hawk. It's like better pros. If you told me, you know, I guess Daewon Song was retiring, I'd be like, wow, really? I mean, he's still really good. But Tony Hawk busted his femur. I follow that. But I don't get fed any of that stuff. I don't. I get shown because I hate the algorithmic feed. I just want to see from the people I follow. I follow news organizations. I follow activists, etc. You know what I'm talking about. This has resulted in what I think is a collapse. And it's kind of funny, isn't it? It's a dopamine machine. It's an addiction machine. They're beating you in the face over and over again, trying to get you to engage, but it's addicting. Here's how it works. Y'all should get addicted to other things like exercise or Magic the Gathering or poker. Those are things that I've been doing, you know. So anyway, here's what they do. I talked about this in media. All right, it's very important. Donald Trump comes onto the scene, 2015 or whatever, and says, I'm going to be running for president. And then he says, we need a total ban on Muslims coming into this country until we can figure things out. That's a terrible Trump impersonation. I know. I'm not trying to go hard. But he did say something to that effect. And then the media says Trump is racist. That article, 1 million hits. Trump makes racist comment, 1 million hits. Because Democrats are like, everybody share this. It's good for us. 1 million. Well, that journalist, quote unquote journalist, is now going like, whoa, I wrote this article calling Trump racist. I got 1 million hits. And then their boss comes in and says, you just got 1 million hits. The president of journalism wants to talk to you about how great of a journalist you are. And they get a bonus in their paycheck. Many of these outlets were actually paying bonuses based on views or commissions or whatever. Some of them were prominent ones. So the next day they say, okay, let's get to it. Donald Trump is racist again. 750 million hits. 750,000 hits. And they're like, okay, calling Trump racist got me less hits, but still a lot. I got it. Trump is even more racist. Boom. 1.5 million views on the article. Trump is the most racist. Is Trump approaching Hitlerian levels? And they keep going. One more dopamine hit at a time, over and over again, until they're screaming in your face, Trump's a Nazi. Then you get Joe Biden coming out and being like, Donald Trump praised Nazis. And it's fake. It's not real. They're making the whole thing up because they're beating you over the head trying to get that dopamine release out. You break that system, like it appears either advertently or advertently. I'm kidding about that word, but you break that system and then people start to disassociate from the system, to disengage and go congregate somewhere else. You have to keep screaming into the wind. This is kind of what I was talking about yesterday in the 4 p.m. segment I did, where I'm like, I'm not doing another Joe Biden scandal story. Like, I did talk about it. But I'm sitting there and it's like the news comes out, because I hate this, that Joe Biden, the Penn Biden Center was searched by the DOJ in November. So it's bigger than just this one search or this one release of documents. And they're withholding information before the midterms, and it matters. And I'm just like, look, what I try to do at youtube.com/timcast, which is different to this one, is political, conflict kind of news, sometimes major cultural things related to Elon, Twitter. And then this channel is kind of like just, whinging on various cultural and political issues. It's more off the cuff and kind of just whatever I feel like talking about. And so I'm getting ready for the show. I'm pulling things up, pulling up articles, and I'm like, here's the news again, man. The Biden scandal gets worse. And then I'm just like, am I going to do the same story again? Just, hey guys, Biden extra corrupt, because that's what the media is doing. And the story's real. And so that's why I did include it. Like, this thing did happen, but I'm like, I don't want to make another headline. I don't care if it gets 200,000 views. I don't care if it gets 500,000 views. I am not doing this again. The system is insane. Humans are being driven insane. It is busted up and broken. So I don't know, man. I think what ends up happening with this Twitter stuff is that Elon inadvertently shattered that machine. And people then go on Twitter. And why is engagement dropping? They go on Twitter because they want to see things they care about. They want to feel they seek out that confirmation bias. Some people just want to interact in the conversation, see what's going on. But one day they go on and they don't see your tweet because they're looking at the algorithmic feed. And they see a tweet from a guy who's just went to Wendy's. And you're like, okay, look, I don't care if you want to come out and say Donald Trump is 10 times Hitler or something, or you want to come out and have an honest conversation. I'm not interested at all in someone's post about going to Wendy's. It's just don't care. So what happens is they decouple you from what is at least slightly interesting to you, be it politics or otherwise, and you start getting fed things like sports, gaming, and nonsense, and you don't engage at all. You're not seeing the people you care about. You're seeing things you don't care about, so you don't engage. That breaks the system. Where do we end up? I think Twitter is dying. I really do. Not because Elon Musk broke the machine, but because he broke the drug addiction that is social media. Instagram is the same way. People got to get those hits. Part of me wonders how much of Twitter engagement was fake to begin with. And that's something you might want to understand. It was about 11 years ago. I was talking to some tech investors. We launched an app called Tagly. And this app it's a camera. You open it up. You can go into the settings and you can turn on date, time, location, and add any text you want. When you do, and you take a photo, that will immediately appear on every photo. We thought it was important for journalists and for anybody interested, so that if you're at a news event or just in general, you take a picture, everyone can see in the corner the location of this, because you have the location data turned on, the time it happened, and if you want, you can put your Twitter handle or you can put your company name or your website. And we were talking about a social function to this, like a feed, and it would be like a news-centric Instagram or something like that. And I was asked, we had a conversation like, how do you get a social platform off the ground? And I said, well, you want to know what everyone else does? I'll tell you what everyone else does. This is exactly why we did not do it. They create fake accounts to trick you into thinking you're getting engagement, to trigger dopamine, to get you addicted, and then you start telling all your friends, and that's how they build it up. And so we were just like, is that the secret? Well, apparently it's what Reddit did. There are some other social media platforms that I'm not going to name because without this being public, these companies can be litigious. But yeah, some of the biggest. The idea is that someone signed up and said, what's this app thing? I'm gonna post a picture. And they got no engagement. And they were like, that's dumb. There's like literally nothing going on. It's like walking to an empty room and saying hello and no one's there. You leave. But you imagine walking into a small room and they're like, what do you have to say, good sir? And you're like, I think Donald Trump is dumb. And then all of a sudden you hear a loud applause. Woo! Everyone's clapping. You're like, oh, they're clapping for me. Where are they clapping? It's like, oh, well, people in the other rooms, you can't see them. You're like, oh. Then all of a sudden, like cardboard cutouts come up and they're like, I agree. And they're all clapping. And you're like, well, this feels great. Surrounded by bots and fake accounts, triggering that dopamine to make it seem like what you're saying is good. You come back. You come back every time. I wonder if Elon broke it on purpose or on accident, but this is what we're experiencing now. And so here's what I really love. Let me give a shout out to Elijah Schaffer. This is how silly and stupid I think we've become. It's the drooling Wojak putting a lock on his Twitter account and says, now I'm going to go viral. And Elijah says, Twitter today was wild. You can follow Elijah at Elijah Schaffer. Shout out. The reason why I love this tweet, there are people who are so concerned with a drop in engagement, they locked their accounts so no one can engage with them. I just don't quite understand what's the point. So I went through my follower list and I just unfollowed every person. Now, to be fair, person who locked their account. I didn't unfollow people I follow who have legitimately locked accounts. There are some people I know who locked their accounts years ago, and it's just a private account where they talk about certain things. Some of them are journalists, and they're sharing information, and it's just for the people they've approved. I didn't unfollow them because they're intentionally trying to have a locked account that provides a service of some sort. And but all these people who are like, I want more engagement, so I'm going to lock my account. You broke the quote tweets. You broke the retweets. So on my Twitter account, if you follow me, all of a sudden, the things I'm talking about are shattered. And I'm just like, you know what, man, I've got no time for people who are going to do this. I'm sorry, man. Look, it is hilarious to me to see all of these people lining up being like, rumor mill says lock your account and more people can see what you do. And it's like, lock your account and the people who already follow you in a small number will probably see what you have to say. But it also means you have zero exposure to anyone outside who already follows you. They basically, look, it feels like a mousetrap. They were like, how can we get all these people banned without, this is brilliant, by the way. It's absolutely brilliant. We want to ban prominent conservative commentators. How do we do it? Well, I don't know. What if we do this? What if we do a pressure change? Like, you know, when a room has really low pressure and there's really high pressure outside and you're like trying to open the door and then like the door is being pushed shut. You ever experienced that? Or the inverse is when there's high pressure inside and the door pushes open. That's what it is. Everybody's on Twitter and they create a low pressure system. And so then, or a high pressure system. You're not getting engagement. I'm not getting engagement. And then they say, lock your account. That's the way you'll get people to see you. And they go, yes. And then everyone just banned themselves. I'm just like, are you kidding me? You know, it's just so stupid. You banned yourself. You ran into the mousetrap. It slammed shut. And you got that delicious peanut butter. Now you're in the box. Now, I know the reality is you can leave the box at any time, but it is fascinating to me that there are people who are like, I know, I will shut myself off from the world, which will make my posts be seen by more people. Nah, just all the people are in the mousetrap. And so you may argue, but Tim, my engagement dropped down anyway. Nobody was seeing anything. At the very least, your tweets could be quoted and shared. It was a lot harder. But the idea of locking yourself in a quarantine zone with your own followers is just nonsensical. Either the machine is broken and you have zero exposure to the outside world, or you lock yourself in a room with a bunch of other people who already agree with you and you have zero exposure to the outside world. If the reality is I'm standing in a big field beneath a tree, eating some delicious peaches, and then all of a sudden everybody walked off, I'm not going to chase them into a quarantine box to try and convince them I have something worth saying. I'm going to sit here and be like, well, I guess that's it. You know, I'm going to keep doing my thing, I suppose. The funniest thing about it, okay, so it almost feels like a kind of mass hysteria because I just don't understand why everyone's just started believing, you know, when I locked my account, I got more engagement. That I don't believe there's a correlation there. I really don't. I think it's fascinating to me that it may be you lock your account, and triggering the lock does something where your tweet goes out to all your followers. They're more likely to see it. We don't know how, if it's 1 time, 2 times, 10 times. We don't know if it's even true. It could be a placebo effect. But everyone just started doing it. And I got to tell you, man, that's not me. That will never be me. And I don't know. I think y'all probably know it. The story I like to tell. I'm in Venezuela. And I was covering the student protests, and there's the National Guard here about 3-4 blocks down, rifles, handguns, live ammo. Then there's a street with obstacles, barbed wire, and trash cans. Then there's protesters. We're standing westward of the protesters who are north of the National Guard. They all of a sudden start screaming and running straight north. So I ran west. I run west, and then I take cover. These are armed guys who are known to shoot. We're in Venezuela. There's flaming garbage. You run away from both groups. It's like when you're being chased by a boulder, you don't run with it. You're like, I'm going to keep running straight, and the boulder's by. Turn left, man. It's like I was watching Prometheus. You ever see that movie? And like the ship is rolling over, and they're like running forward. Like, oh, like, dude, you're in the path of this thing. You're not, like, you need to run to the right. Unless you will get crushed or whatever. And this is what it feels like people are doing. They're all just running in the same direction because they saw someone else run in the same direction. And I think what happens is if everybody runs in the same direction and you're being chased and you run with them, now you're in danger too. So I say, I go the other direction. I am not going to chase after a mob that has no idea what's going on because they could run themselves off a cliff. Nah, I ran west, took cover behind a small wall, called my camera crew, get down, till we can figure out what's going on. But you don't want to be in the line of fire. You don't want to be with the group that's running. You want to be away from it. So I see this and I'm like, I think people have lost their minds. I mean, I think Twitter broke and then everyone's going like, oh, I'm not getting my likes anymore. Look, man, my views on YouTube go up and down. I used to get, in 2020, I was getting like 300,000 views on every one of these videos I'd make. On youtube.com/Timcast, I was getting 500,000. Now it's down. Now it's 200,000. Now it's 180,000, sometimes 200,000 on this channel. Doing these 3 extra segments, I'm really flooding the zone, so I understand there's only so many people who can watch. But it is what it is, you know? I can only be who I am. I can only say what I say. I can only think what I think. And in the end, if it all comes crashing down, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to get plastic surgery to try and look like I'm 20. If I'm like these pop stars who are like in their 50s and 60s and they're getting weird plastic surgery and trying to dance with 20-year-olds. It's like my guy. Like, shout out to Madonna. Yo, just chill. You have your time. Your time comes. Your time goes. Do your best. Be your best. And just be who you are. If people aren't engaging with me on Twitter anymore, I just like, I don't know, whatever, man. Like, I really do mean it when I say this all comes crashing down. I'm taking my van down by the river. I'm going fishing. I got a PlayStation. I got a little monitor. I'll do odd jobs, whatever. But there's so many people who are addicted and obsessed. And I'm like, fight the fight you can. Do the best you can. Help change the world. But at a certain point, don't go out and get plastic surgery so that you can try and dance with 20-year-olds. Don't lock your account because everyone else is doing it and you're worried about not getting engagement. People are like, gotta do what works, I suppose. And I'm like, whatever, man. I'm so sick of Twitter. I'm so sick of the dopamine machines. I'm so sick of all the stupid nonsense and stupid garbage. I'm so sick of the corrupt politicians. You know what matters right now? Y'all start homesteading. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll just delete all the Timcast stuff and I'll make a homesteading channel. And then I will make one 1/100th of the money that the company makes now. And I'll just be like, this is what matters. Figuring out how to live, to be a good person, to be good to the environment, to be good to yourself. You know, the reason I don't do that is my fear is eventually the government's going to come and take my chickens away. And I really do mean that. I'm not saying now, not in 10 years, who knows, but you need to push back against the tyranny. Otherwise, there can't be the homesteading stuff. So I'll talk about this. Anyway, I don't want to go long on this one. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for listening to me whinge and rant. And I'll see y'all then.